So breaking news, and I am not happy about this, but South Korea brought back their failed head coach, Hong Myung-bol, from the 2014 World Cup, as you may have remembered. He is now going to be coaching for the South Korean football team, soccer team, in preparations for the 2026 World Cup, if they make it. I mean, I'm sure they will, but I kind of have my doubts at this point. And let me just say that what a disaster of a team Korea has been. Ever since that Asian Cup of 2023 to 2024, where they lost in the semifinals, especially with that controversy between Son Heung-min and Lee Gang-in, which means they lost to Jordan in the semis. That pretty much got Jurgen Klinsmann fired, who was hired based on name, honestly. And then they went out to hire Han Son-ong, where I thought that was a terrible hire because that was also based on name. It seems that the only way that Chung Mung-gu, the guy who pretty much runs the national team in an organizational standpoint, he's relying on the 2002 name branding to make these kind of decisions, because Han Son-ong was part of the 2002, now Hong Myung-bol is part of 2002, and the coach that I've really been wanting was getting Park Hang-seo. That's who I wanted, Park Hang-seo, who would be a much better decision, much better choice to make, as he coached for the Vietnamese football team that brought that team into at least a more respectable level. But yet, Korea won't even give this guy a chance because I guess Park Hang-seo has a lot of massive issues with the Korean Football Association. And look where we are now. Chung Mung-gu hiring another incompetent coach, which once again is Hong Myung-bol, who already coached them in 2014, which, by the way, they failed miserably. And must I go over this again? Let me go over a history lesson of how he really did. So he took over for the team in 2013 after Korea got qualified for the 2014 World Cup. And right off the bat, he made terrible decisions, such as allowing Park Chu-young, a failed striker for Korea, who basically sat on Arsenal's bench for several years. It felt like it was like half a decade. And he did absolutely nothing in the 2014 World Cup, including missing a point-blank shot where he did this thumbs up as a reaction. And then there's Chung Sung-young, the goalkeeper, who was atrocious in the 2010 World Cup, if you're wondering who that was. He's the guy that tried to intercept Diego Forlan's cross, and that went over to Luis Suarez because he slipped and fell. And then he was awful in the 2014 World Cup. So we're expected to trust this guy who already failed in the 2014 World Cup, which was arguably one of the worst performances in Korean history in the World Cup. And we're expected to trust this guy. And I know there's a lot of Korean fans out there. I've been looking at it on Twitter. They're saying that maybe he'll redeem himself. Maybe this is not such a bad decision. Maybe the players will rally behind him, but I don't see it happening. I mean, he didn't have leadership back then, and he is not going to have much leadership now. Like, yeah, sure, he may have some success in Ulsan in the K-League, but this is the K-League, not the Premier League or anywhere in Europe or anywhere even respectable. I don't see how this is going to work. Like, honestly, at this point, I'm just hoping Korea fails to even make it to the World Cup. As much as I want them to make it to the World Cup in the United States / Mexico / Canada, so I can have an excuse to go to a World Cup match, which is one of my dreams right now. And Korea and America would be huge. But if we're going to prepare for the World Cup, especially off of that kind of success in the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, led by Paulo Bento, which, by the way, Korea pretty much pushed out. I mean, I didn't really like Paulo Bento either, but look at the standards that we are now. Now we're hiring Korean coaches based on name recognition of 2002, not even by how good the coach is, because Han Son-ong, it was a very uninspiring coach. Like, it's almost like, why is he even coaching? And now we got Hong Myung-bol, which I'm surprised he even still has a job. I mean, I guess you can have a job in China and Korea. But now, I mean, I don't really feel confident. This is where we're going to see Son Heung-min. He's going to be 33 to 34 by the next World Cup. And then Hwang Hee-chan's in his prime. Lee Gang-in's going to be in his prime. And we're going to waste all of that away. Like, I'm not looking forward to this. I unfortunately expect this to fail. Like, I'm already just concerned, like, what kind of decisions he's going to make on his lineup, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to have a pretty good idea of how badly this team will perform. I mean, let's just see how they even do in qualifiers, which Homyeonbol never coached in the qualifiers. And yes, granted, he had success in like the London Olympic Games of 2012, had some success in the U20, in the U20 World Cup in 2009, but this is 2024, and this is World Cup level, senior level. And anyone who expects Homyeonbol to actually lead this team to that level that we all wanted for years, it's pretty delusional, to be honest with you. And I must say I'm really frustrated with the Korean Football Association. I mean, they're run absolutely atrociously. Like, this is where I have issues with Korea and their politics. Like, I'm going to say this. I'm Korean, by the way. Koreans, we're some of the most, I'm just going to go off and say this. We're some of the most talented people. We're the smart. We have great athletes. But the one thing Korea struggles at, and especially the fact that, and this is also saying that Korea has a top 15 economy in the world with little to no natural resources, and like that the country is split in half. The one Achilles heel that Korea has is their politics, and it's really sad that Korean politics really get in the way, and which is why we have bad hirings like Hongyeonbol, Han Seong, Jurgen Klinsmann, and it's only going to get worse. Like, I can only see like how bad it's going to be going forward. Like, Hongyeonbol never really used young players and test them out. I don't even see that happening. He's probably going to go with that stupid seniority rule that Korea does. So I'm really not looking forward to this. When will there be accountability on Chung Mong-gu? Like, does Korea... I mean, at this point, the only way Koreans can really force change in this Korean Football Association, the best thing that Koreans can really do to make change is to do the same exact thing that got former President Park Geun-hye impeached, kicked out of office, who, by the way, her father was Park Chung-hee, the most controversial president in Korean history. So the best way Korean fans can make a change is do this massive protest to pressure Korea to get rid of Chung Mong-gu and actually hire an actual competent leader. But will they do that? They will not. But those are going to be my thoughts on the hiring of Hongyeonbol. Let me know in the comments of what you think, and especially all my Korean friends out there, because I know this video is going to reach out to the Korean audience. Let me know what you think about this Hongyeonbol hiring. I'd be very curious to know. And also, thank you very much, and 감사합니다.